So, hi everyone, thank you so much for joining us. Today we have the amazing Norris Jones. He grew up in a small town in Illinois, America. He helped run his family's newspaper business, as well as serving 33 years in the Navy, retiring as a captain. He also served in the Army based in Iraq. And he is a twin. So please welcome Norris. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thank you for inviting me.
Oh, you're welcome.
We have a small subdivision here.
Yeah.
Some great people.
Some awesome people. We're very, very lucky. I wanted to start off with, how do we know each other?
I had the privilege of meeting Jenny because my best friend, a Brit, lives next door, and he and I walk every day. And it turns out that Jenny walks every day too, with her two kids. So, so every day it was another day of, this lady inspires you with that smile, doesn't she?
Oh.
But anyway, I wanted to tell you about walking. You've obviously motivated me. She has 24,000 steps.
Oh, that was my good day. That was my good day.
That was amazing. Well, I used to run 2 miles, no matter what the age, but at some point, my body said, my calves aren't liking this.
Yeah, I got to slow down, and you have to listen to it.
So I had to, and I find out walking doesn't bother me at all. So I walk a lot. In fact, I prefer walking than driving, and I walk a lot of places. But anyway, I'll tell you a little bit about exercise.
Yeah.
When I was in school, high school, they required physical education. They called it PE. They call it PE in Australia.
Yeah.
So you have PE, and they said to my twin brother and me, you don't have to take PE, even though it's mandatory, because you're in the marching band. Okay. So I had no PE in high school.
Right.
My twin brother and I were tiny.
Yeah.
I think we graduated less than 100 pounds when we graduated from high school.
So pounds. I'm kilograms, so I'm like trying to do the translation, but I don't know the translation.
Yeah.
So
anyway, it's most 8th graders are 100 pounds. Let's put it that way. So Nathan and I had no weight.
Okay.
Unlike your husband, who looks like he could play rugby.
No.
So we get to college with no experience in PE.
Yeah.
And again, it's a requirement, but we're not in the marching band now. So they said, so here's your choice. The 3 courses that are still open. You can go into country western dance, bowling, and cross-country running. And Nathan and I looked at each other and we thought, well, any idiot can put one foot in front of the other. So we'll go to the running. So we go to our first class, and the instructor was a British Olympian.
Really?
And my very first class was running 5 miles. In fact, I got a side ache. I can't believe it.
Yeah.
What the hell have we gotten into here?
And how often do we have to do this?
The first few weeks were miserable. It turned out to be one of the most important classes I took because the man taught us how to breathe. When you were delivering your children, did you do the Lamaze method?
I don't know if it is that method, but yes, I did do a breathing
exercise.
And it got me through.
Because what I learned from this instructor was you take 2 breaths in and 2 breaths out. So it's like a clock that just keeps ticking.
Yeah. And
I found that my side ache stopped.
Really?
And what Nathan and I didn't realize was the 40 people in our class, 36 of them were cross-country runners in high school. Here, Nathan and I were marching band people at 90 pounds, not 100 pounds. I mean, it wasn't a pretty sight, but as we continued, all of a sudden, Nathan and I turned out to be the perfect body type because we looked like a Kenyan runner.
Okay.
There's no body fat, right?
There's no fat, yeah.
And we ended up he and I were like the 4th and 5th fastest at the end of that class. And in the military, you have to be physically fit. And running is one of the things that they judge.
Okay.
And that breathing technique, when I'm 30, 40, it never escaped me. When I'm in Iraq, I was running 2 miles every day. And you think back, what important classes did you have in college? Well, I can tell you that cross-country class is still with me, even though I don't run today.
It stayed with you your entire life.
Yeah.
Thank you for sharing that. I really liked that story. What inspired you to become a pilot, or how did you learn to fly? Tell me a little bit about that and how you got into it.
There's a good lesson to be learned here, and then the reality of life.
Yeah.
I'm in Alaska, courtesy of the Navy. They my brother and I were supposed to be on a brother tour.
Okay.
And we graduated first and second in our class. We were enlisted at the time. We were admin for a security group, and they sent me to Alaska because we had a big antenna listening to Soviet communication. So you had to have a top secret clearance, and I'm in the admin group. They've got these, you can go hunting here. They had all kinds of opportunities for enlisted people.
Yeah.
And one of them was a club, a flying club, where they would teach you to be a pilot. And so I attended the classes to pass my test to be a pilot.
Yeah. And
then I started taking lessons. You had like 40 hours of lessons.
40 hours?
Yeah.
Okay.
Flying around.
Yeah.
Some of it was solo. First 10 or 20 hours was with an instructor, but then you had to start flying. You had to map out where you were going to go, do your touch and goes at this place and that place.
Yeah.
And
do you remember how you felt the first time you went by yourself?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah? How did you feel?
Because it was in the winter, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'd gone through a small town, maybe 40 miles from Anchorage, was my first, but it was between two mountain ranges coming down. So you're right at the apex of these mountains. And I could do a touch and go landing, and the wind was so strong, I'm actually bringing the plane in sideways.
Oh, yeah.
And then switch my wheels to just do a touch and go, because I said, there's no way I'm landing here in this crosswind. The crosswind was just ridiculously strong.
And this is your first time, right?
Yeah. And so then I go up, and I go to right in front of Mount McKinley. And they had this was like, I don't know, 40 minutes flight to that airport, all snow covered. That one, I did touch down and go in and get my thing signed off that I got there. I had to explain to my instructor, I went to the first airport, but there was no way I could land to get checked off. Anyway, Talkeetna, I get checked off, then I come back to Elmendorf and land there. The actual plane was at the Army base, was just right next door. And so I land there, and that was my first time. Now, I get my license. I met my wife at the newspaper. Actually, I met her parents first.
Okay.
And they were both working at the newspaper, and her stepfather was a bush pilot. The only good thing about being a bush pilot was he had pontoons on his floats on his plane. Okay. So he could land anywhere because there's lakes everywhere.
Wow, that's quite cool,
But I achieved my goal. I'm a pilot.
Yeah.
And I flew maybe 2 more times in Alaska, and this voice was yelling in my ear, Norris.
Yeah.
If this engine fails, there is absolutely no place to land.
Yeah.
It's mountains. Or tundra or lakes. I mean, if you have wheels on that airplane, you are looking at a bad outcome. And of course, I was out there cleaning my wings one time, and I got frostbite on my fingers because it's miserably cold.
Yeah.
And I had gloves on, but
they
just cut right through my gloves.
So you listened to your intuition or your voice?
I mean, I was miserable. That was an overwhelming thought. You cannot enjoy flying if all you're thinking about is, I'm looking at a crash landing.
Yeah.
When I got back home, my younger brother was taking flight lessons. And he actually became a pilot as well, but he took flight lessons in a civilized area.
Yeah, somewhere a bit safer.
Yeah, but I found out that it didn't matter. He and I went up, and I'm flying, and I'm going, it doesn't matter, Marty. Even though I can see now, I've got all kinds of opportunities for an emergency. That feeling never left me. So I couldn't. That's what I say. There's good news about becoming a pilot, and then the reality set in for me. I believe in listening to your inner voice.
Absolutely. Yeah. It's telling you for a reason. You have to listen to it. It's something that I have not listened to many, many times, and it's proven to listen to it. So
that was just a hobby.
That was a hobby. That's an amazing, awesome hobby. Are you working on anything interesting right now?
Well, let me tell you a story about that. No.
I
just wanted to let loose of I wanted a quiet life. And what's funny to me is 2 weeks ago, my son's in-laws come in, and they're talking, and they said, well, what's your dad doing now? Yeah. My son says, absolutely nothing. Well, how can you do absolutely nothing? Yeah. What kind of life is that? He says, you don't know my dad.
Yeah. You can enjoy doing nothing. Yeah, you've worked hard your entire life.
I can tell you that when I was growing up, I don't know what kind of work you had to do when you were growing up, but when I was growing up, I grew up in a newspaper family, and my grandpa inherited his farm.
Okay.
Not 80 acres, 1913.
Wow.
And his first 3 years were drought.
Wow. Okay.
And he looked at his young wife, and he said, I'm afraid if we continue this, we're both going to starve.
Yeah.
So in 1916, he bought a newspaper. And 1920, he consolidated 2 papers in that town. Supposed to be on the brother tour. So we're first and second. So we get the first 2 choices of what's available throughout the world on Navy assignments in our particular rating.
Okay.
Well, Nathan's the first. He gets Hawaii.
Hawaii.
And our first 2 choices were Hawaii and Germany. He gets Hawaii. I thought, well, okay, I'm going to Hawaii.
Okay, so you can go together.
Yeah, we're on a brother tour.
Okay.
And so the instructor comes up to me before he announces where I'm going, and he says, listen, I know that you had an interest in the brother tour, but just wasn't available. But you're going to a great place, a really great place. You're going to Elmendorf. Now, when you hear Elmendorf, where do you think that is?
A shopping center?
I
don't know. I'm not sure.
I listen to Elmendorf, and I think, well, that must be somewhere in Germany. It's got a German ring to it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, Anchorage, Alaska.
Alaska. Okay.
And I'm not a hunter or a fisherman, so I go to Anchorage, Alaska. And, I'm working there from 7 o'clock in the morning till 4 o'clock in the afternoon on my job. I'm bored. So I was there for about 4 or 5 months, and I thought, I'm going to ask, can I get a part-time job? Some people had it. So I went to the command and asked them, can I get a part-time? That's not a problem, yeah. To the Anchorage Daily News. And I asked them, I first of all asked them about, I'm a journalism major. Can I be one of your writers? No, we got plenty. Can I sell advertising? No, you don't get off until 4, and most of the stores are going to be closed by the time you get here.
Right.
So then I went to the back shop. The back shop, this was 1971, was the old letterpress, meaning lead. And I go back there, and the guy goes, have you ever run one of these machines? It's called a linotype.
Okay.
And a linotype has got a keyboard where the lowercase letters are here, numbers and punctuation are here, and all the capitals are here. It's a keyboard like a typewriter, but it's obviously got more keys than a typewriter would have.
Okay, yep.
And every time you push a key, a brass matrix drops down. And when you push the space bar that you would put between words, it's actually a wedge. It drops down. And when you get 2 inches of type, you send it across and down into the form, and hot lead squirts into those letters, but the space bar wedge pushes up to make it tight.
Yeah.
So I don't know, I think I was 11 when my dad decided I needed to help him with the linotype, so I'm running a linotype. And my mom had been a linotype operator, but now she's like the editor, and so she.
So you learned that from a very young age.
So what I learned at a very young, because my mom had burns right here, because sometimes those letters don't sit right, and the lead comes right out at you, hot lead.
Wow.
So you're on a chair with wheels. Now I'm 11 years old.
Yeah.
I learned how to push myself away when
lead was coming.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So the guy says, yeah, I run one of those. Well, how fast is you? I said, I don't know. No one ever taught. He said, were you in a union shop? I said, I believe you were a union shop, but I was 11 years old when I started there. I'm not a typographical union member.
Yes.
And he says, okay, sat me down at the machine. Now, I'd run that machine from the time I was 10 until I graduated from high school at 17. So I knew the machine. So I'm just typing along and shoving these things over. And I get a galley and a half in an hour.
Okay.
Next thing he does is he reads it. How accurate am I?
Oh.
He said, you made one mistake. You hyphenated American after the capital A. Well, I did that because my 2 inches, Otherwise, I gotta spend time putting individual. I'm being timed here. Hell with that.
Yeah.
So anyway, he looks at me and says, well, normally when we get someone like you that hasn't been in a union, we start you on the apprenticeship program, which is $5 an hour.
Okay.
Now that may not sound a lot. In 1971, it was a huge amount of money.
A lot.
He said, but you're not an apprentice. You are a journeyman. We're going to start you out at $7 an hour, and you can have as many hours as you want.
Really? Oh my goodness.
So I'm all of a sudden I'm loaded, right? I mean, that was a lot of money in 1971.
Yeah.
And the best thing was I'm now not dealing with, I mean, I'm trying to get comfortable with the military. But I was the lowest man on the totem pole when I went there.
Okay.
I'm a Seaman Jones. So every Thursday I get what they call, you're the guy washing the floors, buffing the floors, emptying the waste baskets. So that's what the low guy does.
I've been there.
And then I'm at the newspaper, and these people are normal and they're happy with what I'm doing. So I like that contrast.
Yeah.
And about 6 months later, like I say, I'm the low man, right? I have no respect from anybody. My boss, who's a chief petty officer, gets a call from the head office. Commander Dayton wants to see Jones. So he said, I'm going, what the hell's what's the commanding officer wants to do with me?
What does he want? Yeah.
So I walk in there, and he says, Seaman Jones, I see that you've got a degree in journalism. How would you like to be my public affairs officer? This is a security group.
Okay.
To think that a security group where everything you're doing you can't talk about.
Okay. Yes.
He needs what? So okay, but what exactly are you talking about? He says, well, we got all these VIPs coming through, right? They're on their way to Vietnam, and it'd be a great opportunity to get some interview opportunities with the Anchorage media, and I'd like you to coordinate that. Well, this is my first time ever thinking about being a public affairs officer, but all of a sudden I realized I'm not the low man on the totem pole. I don't have time for the...
You've just skyrocketed right up here.
So, by the way, I'm working for the Anchorage Daily News, so it's not like I don't know my way around the newspaper. So it was like, it just dropped in my lap.
Yeah. And you took it.
Oh, I took it.
Yeah.
And he was happy. I didn't realize I was qualified to do this kind of thing, but I was having a great time.
Yeah.
And when I got back after 2 years there, I got back to Illinois. I just made petty officer 3rd class, so I made 1 grade above. And I'm thinking, this is 1973, like the summer of 73, I'm going to put in paperwork to become a public affairs officer in the Navy. And I asked my twin brother, he says, hell no, it's a non-paid job. All you do is go on weekend, put the uniform on, but you're not getting paid for it. You just get credit for your retirement.
Okay.
He said, well, I don't care about the money. I mean, you're going to get 80 on weekend, put the uniform on, but you're not getting paid for it. You just get credit for your retirement.
Okay.
He said, well, I don't care about the money. I mean, you're going to get $80 a month. Okay. And I don't really care about the money. I want the commission. So I asked for my commission and got it in January of 1974 and started drilling in St. Louis.
Started what, sorry?
Started drilling in St. Louis. You know where St. Louis is?
Started drilling.
Going to Navy.
Okay.
This is not unlike Alaska. This was what I was into now was the reserves.
Okay. Yep.
You drill 1 weekend a month,
right?
Saturday, Sunday, and 2 weeks a year you go somewhere to be a public affairs officer. That was the normal thing. So St. Louis is what they call the archway. It's famous. It's on the Mississippi River, and it was 90 miles from my home, so it was easy to go down there. And 2 years later, my twin brother finally started paying us. So he started drilling with us in St. Louis, got his commission in 1976. So he's always 2 years behind me.
Yeah.
And that's how we started. That's why I say I had a newspaper career and a Navy career.
Have you ever experienced any pushback from people throughout your life when starting something new? For example, moving to Thailand from America? Or in any other life stage, what do you say to the naysayers or the dream stealers that I like to call them?
They are.
Or any other stories you can share with us where you had pushback that you overcame? I
retired from the military. My dad wasn't able, he had dementia at the time, so he wasn't able to go. But my mom was there. And so I retired from the military in 2004. And the following year, I told my mom, I want to volunteer to go to Iraq. I just have this calling, Mom, that I need to do that. I've prepared my whole life. All of these exercises that I've been on, I've prepared my whole life for that kind of experience. And I don't want to, I don't want to regret that I never raised my hand. So I want to go to Iraq. Well, Mom was just adamant. There's no reason in the world you need to think. And I'm just glad that you retired from the Navy, Norris.
Okay. She didn't want you to go.
Oh, she was pretty adamant about it.
Yeah.
And Well, at the time, I was my dad's caregiver.
Right, you were.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Because
That's a
he had
lot.
dementia, so I would help do the shower and that kind of thing, and so
Yeah.
that was going to impact that as well. He was at the point where he needed to go to a nursing home anyway.
Mm-hmm.
I went to my aunt, her sister.
Okay.
I told my aunt what the dilemma I had with Mom. I didn't want to go to Iraq without the family's blessing.
Okay.
Because I'm working at the newspaper too, so they have to do a lot of extra work if I'm somewhere else.
Yeah.
And so I
a lot of
wasn't
pressure.
going to leave them in a lurch. But
Yeah.
I had, like you say, I had this passion. I needed to do this.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And she just said, Mom, or Dorothy,
Yeah.
you need to let him go.
Yeah.
Um,
And that's what changed.
yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And
So she gave you her
and
blessing.
she gave me her blessing.
Yeah. That would have been a relief for you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was the youngest, and she was a nurse.
Okay. This is your aunt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I remember she always had that calming effect on people. So
Okay.
I'm grateful to this day that she stepped in for me.
Oh, that's lovely. Yeah. So she was your voice.
That's exactly right. She understood what I was getting at. And the last thing you want to do when you're 76 like I am now is to look back and go, why didn't I?
Why didn't I? Yeah.
My mom is
She was only looking out for you and wanted the best for you.
Well, but my mom is like the bond of our family.
Yeah.
She's the pillar. Everyone leans on my mom because she is such an inspiration.
Oh.
And
that's so nice.
my mom we had an older sister, and we didn't have much money. And so the house we were living in had no heat on the second floor. And unfortunately, her first child, her daughter, died at age 1 from pneumonia.
Oh my goodness, that's horrible.
But her faith never stopped, and so
she always believed.
And then she actually thought, actually God was talking to her because her next child was twins that she didn't even know.
Oh. Yeah, she wouldn't have known that they were twins.
Back then, they didn't have
all the technology.
Yeah, she just knew she was having,
Wow.
She went there, and Nathan was born first.
Yeah.
And I was a breech birth. So
really?
I was born like 2 hours later.
Oh my goodness.
But
wow.
Yeah, her faith was just immovable. To the day she died, she was very good about it.
She taught you a lot about faith. They say in life, we make choices that completely change the course of our life.
Mm-hmm.
What are 1 or 2 or more choices that you have made that have made the biggest impact on your life, be it positive or negative?
I think I have 2, but neither one were my choices, which is sort of interesting.
Okay.
So my brother and I are doing the Navy thing.
Yeah.
We're like, it's like we're on a treadmill. That's what it felt like from 1974 until 1989. We're doing the same thing, always with the same unit, doing great projects.
Yeah.
Like the commissioning of an aircraft carrier. I mean, it's big project.
Big projects, yeah.
So 1989, like I say, Nathan and I are on this treadmill. Working, we're happy. Okay, another weekend drill.
Yeah.
And this particular weekend was an inspection.
Okay.
And Nathan's the admin officer, and I'm the training officer, and we got the admiral, the guy that's in charge of all these kind of units throughout the United States. And he comes in to evaluate, how do we stack up? And at the end of his day, he gave us all compliments, but he specifically said, Nathan and Norris, I'm giving you a direct order. You need to get out of here. You've been here too long. You need to get out and join other units so that they can experience, you're in a dead end job here. You're just doing the same thing. You're not growing. I want you to get out and see what's going on.
Really? And what happened?
And so, he kicked us in the butt and told us, so we had no choice. So Nathan got transferred to Chicago, and his boss in Chicago was a Captain Becker. Okay. That was 1989. He transfers to Chicago. 3 years later, Captain Becker becomes Admiral Becker, the guy that kicked us in the butt, his predecessor. When this guy retired, came Admiral Becker.
Okay.
1991, I don't know if you know what that year was, but it was the year that we went into Desert Storm. And General Schwarzkopf, an Army general, had his Army team dealing with the media. And a few weeks into that, he said, these guys need to go. They don't know what the hell they're doing.
Okay.
So he brought in the Navy team. Well, now Admiral Becker's got to identify who are the people I want to send to Schwarzkopf's staff. Nathan was one of them.
Okay.
And now he goes to Riyadh, He's the night media director. He's handling all the queries from media. What questions they have, what do they need, what access do they need, who they want to talk to. He's the guy handling all that.
Mm-hmm.
He earns a Bronze Star.
Mm-hmm.
Could he have done that in St. Louis?
No.
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 Now, Norris Jones, what's he do?
Yeah.
I didn't move very far. I stayed in St. Louis, but
Yeah.
I went to this unit. There was one billet that wasn't in our unit. One unit, Amphibious Forces, 7th Fleet, public affairs job.
Okay.
That happens to be located in Okinawa. I mean, that's where the headquarters is. Our unit drills in St. Louis.
Okay.
All of a sudden, I'm going on exercises to Philippines, to Thailand, to South Korea, to Japan.
Wow. Oh my God, what a change.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The 50th anniversary of MacArthur's landing at Tacloban, Philippines.
Yeah.
I'm there with media.
That's insane. Wow. Yeah.
I could say Nathan and I are just doing nothing and saying we're sort of sleepwalking.
Yeah.
And all of a sudden the admiral was absolutely right. This is awesome. All of a sudden the whole world opened up.
Wow.
And so when I left Amphibious Forces 7th Fleet, I moved to Commander-in-Chief U.S. Naval Forces Europe. Mm-hmm. Their unit drilled in Chicago, so I'm now dealing with Nathan. But now I'm doing exercise. I was on the first U.S. ship to go into Latvia, Lithuania, and Estonia in 60 years because the Iron Curtain had come down in 1993, and we were sending a ship in to visit those 3 countries. Wow. And talk about the welcome we received from those citizens. These are historic moments.
Yeah, wow.
I was the lead man on the media desk for the 50th anniversary of D-Day, Normandy.
Oh my goodness.
This isn't St. Louis anymore, right?
No, I know.
It's like, did that change my life?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Oh, wow.
So
I love that story. That is so cool. And that you went with it and you listened and look where it led you.
What I was doing was I was switching. Like I did the ball tops exercise in 92, and Nathan was going to go in 93. Okay. And I'm in Norway at an exercise. Yeah. And I get a call, your brother's been in a bad auto accident. Oh. So he hit a bridge abutment. I think he fell asleep. He hit a bridge abutment. And, basically he had a seatbelt on, but his head moved forward to where he hit the windshield. And so they call it a crescent or whatever. It's a starburst where he hit the windshield. And they weren't sure he's ever going to be the same. His brain was so scrambled.
Oh my God, that's horrible.
So I came home, and he's got a broken leg.
Yeah.
And I came home like it was March, and this exercise that he'd already signed up for was going to be in June. Yeah. That was the exercise going to Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. Mm. And so I came home, and here's Nathan. He's telling me his TV, he thought people were staring at him. That's how his mind was screwed up. He actually thought those were people up there. Well, anyway, I said, Nathan, you need to focus. Yeah. You've got a military exercise coming up in 4 months, and you need to figure out how you're going to get back to being able to handle it. Yeah. The next thing you know, Nathan's trying to walk. He's exercising with his broken leg. Yeah. Oh my God. He's yelling at the people, that he's got someplace to go. There's no way he's going with that broken leg.
Oh no. But you helped him focus. Yeah. Yeah, get his mind off other things.
And all of a sudden, he's back with us. So
back with you completely.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. The only difference was I had a high school buddy that graduated he worked at a Colorado hospital that was known throughout the United States for its leading research in spinal injuries. Okay. And part of that was also brain injuries. Okay. So he came to one of our summer picnics. We had a little cabin on the lake. Yeah. The family did. And he comes and he's got his computer. He says, what I want to do is I want to have 50 questions. Norris, you'll be my baseline. Okay. And then we'll have 50 questions with Nathan, and we'll see where he's at. Wow. Okay. And, I'm called the clone.
Okay, yes.
So you can imagine all of the chaos at a reunion. People are everywhere, right? Yeah. And just having fun, I mean. Mm-hmm. And I take my test. Okay, there's some distractions here, but Nathan starts to take his test. The one thing, when he was working for Schwarzkopf, he had the tolerance of Job. I mean, nothing bothered him. Okay. But that accident did cut off his tolerance a little bit. And all of a sudden he's screaming, "Can I have some quiet here?" Anyway, he takes the test. He actually, I think he scored two questions better than me. So his brain was fine. I'm the clone because 2014, his 2 trips to Iraq, he came down with a blood cancer, and he went to MD Anderson. I'm over here.
He's gone through a lot.
And he's telling me they say you got a 25% chance of beating
survival,
this.
Yeah.
So telling me about the stem cell, and our national old age health insurance said for the particular kind of the blood cancer that you have, we only authorize you to contribute your own stem cells, and they will filter out the cancer. What do you mean filter out? Yeah, they'll get about 95% of the cancer cells out. I get on a plane, I'm over there, and I said, listen, I know I'm an identical twin brother. I know my stem cells are okay.
Yeah.
Why can't they take mine?
Yeah.
Well, the Medicare, the old, would not take it. But we also have military insurance because we're retired military.
Yeah.
Military said, yeah, we'll pay the whole bill. And so then they had to take his blood and my blood and send it to Mayo Clinic, which is apparently the only clinic in the United States that can verify, yeah, they're identical twin brothers. That's why I say I'm the clone, because he took my stem cells and he's now 10 years clear.
Wow, that's an amazing story.
So another blessing.
Another blessing. Yeah, wow, holy moly, that's incredible. Oh my God. What is your faith? Do you believe in a God, energy, science, or any other spiritual concept?
Well, I told you about my mom. I told you about my grandpa. My grandpa helped build the Christian church in Burton. My mom was the choir director for 40 years. So music has always been important in our family. My mom retired after 40 years. My youngster became the choir director. So music has always been a huge part of it. The thing about faith is I think if you go to a war zone, you're on 200 missions into the red zone. If you don't come back with faith, you've missed the boat, because it just helps you sustain, just tolerate the danger. Do you listen to that voice? Well, who is that voice?
Yeah.
I listen to the voice.
Oh, I like that.
I was telling you earlier about my favorite commercial was Rocket Mortgage yesterday.
On the Super Bowl?
Yeah, on the Super Bowl. And it featured John Denver's Country Roads.
Okay.
You know the song.
Maybe, not off the top of my head, but I'll look it up. Yeah.
Country Roads. And it was just a moving piece about people, families being together, and that song means so much to me because I'm in Iraq for 4 years, and I'm sort of on the trail. I'm really enjoying. I am thriving what I'm doing. I'm in a group of 500 people. I felt like I was sort of the bonding agent. I had one time when I had this girl that one of that picture that you saw with the
the teddy bear.
I had a picture like that of her.
Yeah.
And I sent it to Atlanta Journal.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, they put that picture on their front page of like B section, the front page in color. And so it was her picture with that group.
Right.
And I just happened to step in just because I wanted a keepsake moment, but
it
was really her picture. We're talking about faith, John Denver.
Oh yes, the country.
I hear her voice in the morning hour, she calls me. The radio reminds me of my home far away. And driving down that road, I get a feeling that I should have been home yesterday. Yesterday, country road. Remember the song? Take Me Home. I'm there 4 years.
Yeah.
And they want me to be there another 6 months.
Okay.
And all of a sudden that song comes out, and I'm listening to my inner voice saying, Norris, you've been here long enough.
Yeah.
It's time to go because, should have been home yesterday. And it was just like, I've done all I can. I need to go. Someone's talking to me through that song. And so I hear that song at the Super Bowl, and then I wrote my family. I said, any idea which Super Bowl commercial was my favorite? I didn't even tell them which one. Oh, the great thing about that Super Bowl commercial was when it finished, the Super Bowl commercial finished, they come back to the stadium and the whole stadium is sing-alonging that song.
Oh, wow.
All 80,000 or 100, how many? And I'm going,
Wow, it must have just brought you back to that moment, though,
That's exactly right.
Wow. I love your stories. They're amazing. Oh my God. Do you have any quotes or sayings that motivate you or that you live by?
This really hit home to me in Iraq.
Okay.
Luke chapter 22, verse 48, if you have much,
Mhm.
much is expected.
Mm.
And so I can tell you right now, I think I did 200 missions into the red zone in Iraq.
Missions, wow.
And to places, nasty places like Fallujah, Ramadi, some of the suburbs of Baghdad.
For people like me that don't really understand what the red zone, I think it's pretty self-explanatory, but how would you describe the red zone?
Well, this is where you put on 50 pounds of battle rattle. You've got a plate on front, you got a plate on the back, you got your helmet. And it's where, when you go out there, you can expect snipers are going to be shooting at you, or you may hit an IED. We had a couple.
What's an IED?
Improvised explosive device.
Okay.
It's triggered by either a pressure plate or someone's got a cell phone. But
oh, scary.
Fortunately, I had IEDs that went off, but they only did damage to the outside of the vehicle, didn't actually blow us up. So I was lucky there, and I was involved with some snipers shooting at us, but they were so far away that the bullets were harmlessly just bouncing on the ground right here.
Wow.
So, but that's where your faith comes in.
Yeah. So what do you think that verse means to you?
Well,
the Luke verse.
First of all, we are blessed.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And if you look at what we have, whether Australians or Americans, and what the Iraqi people have, you do whatever you can to help those people.
Yeah.
My job in Iraq, I don't think I told you this, but my job in Iraq was working for the U.S. Army Corps of Engineers. And we were the ones, we had like a $20 million budget, and we were building schools, water treatment plants, electrical generation plants, fire stations, police stations, just trying to help. And we're hiring Iraqis to do this building, so they're earning money to do the building.
Yeah.
So we had an important mission, and that's why I stayed there, because I loved the mission we were doing.
You believed in what they were doing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
that's a really nice story, because I feel like a lot of stories you hear about the military and the wars over there, you don't really hear the nice side like that, you know, building schools.
Trying to help the community,
trying to help
get people jobs.
Yeah. Well, I personally have never heard the nice stories. So I thank you for sharing that. I have never heard of the verse.
Here again, those who have much is expected. I don't hold back when I tithe, because that quote hits me hard. So
when you tithe, what's that mean?
When the offering plate comes around.
Okay. Right.
So.
Well, good on you. Yeah.
It's on the book of Hebrews. So I'm learning a whole lot more about the Bible in the last 2 months.
Right.
Now when I was in Iraq,
when
I left the Baghdad office and I went down to Basra, which is southern Iraq.
Yes.
You basically you sign your name and whatever you want to put here. I put that quote on my name.
Okay.
Those who have much is expected.
Bigger question, and I can't wait to hear your answer. What do you think the meaning of our lives are?
My viewpoint is my life. I'm just hoping that, just like my mom imbued in me her values in life, that I'm able to do that with my 2 older sons and my current son, just like your 2 children.
Yeah.
That to me is what we're all about. Now, those people that are unfortunate enough not to have children, how else do we leave anything when we're gone? What you know, when you can look and you can say, yeah, my 2 children will carry on, and I prepared them for that.
Yeah.
So
I guess people without children, they can share it with nieces or nephews or people, friends.
But that's my
I like that.
You learn from you and your husband.
They copy everything.
How do you handle conflict, you know?
Oh.
The good or the bad.
Oh, I'm still learning how to deal with conflict. I'm turning 35 this year, and I think I'm only just figuring it out, if I'm honest. Do you have any regrets in life?
None. Like I say, I would have regretted had I not gone to Iraq, because it was such a life-fulfilling event for me.
Yeah.
I'm grateful I was able to spend 4 years and actually not face a health issue. That interaction with people was amazing. My very first guy I worked for was a West Point grad, a colonel.
Yeah.
And about 6 months into the assignment, I get a call from Washington, D.C. They said, hey, the general's public affairs guy is leaving. We're going to recommend that you go there. His is regarding all of Iraq. My job was Anbar province in Baghdad.
Okay.
So I liked what I was doing.
Yeah.
So I went to my boss and I said, listen, I've been given this opportunity to go work for the general, but I want to turn it down.
Okay.
I don't know if this is an order. I said, but I'm much happier working here than I would. I know what the general staff's 2003, yeah. I go to General Jones NATO headquarters for 6 months, and so I worked for him. And all the injured Americans were coming to Launch Jewel Hospital, regional hospital, to get treated first, and then they were sent. Once they got stabilized, they were sent to the United States. And I'm handling 200 media.
Wow.
I don't know if you heard of Jessica Lynch, the prisoner of war.
I have heard of that name. Yeah.
So we had lots of media interest, and so I told my boss in Iraq, I've done that kind of job. I'm having a lot more fun working for you, sir, than I would for the general.
Yeah.
So I'd like to turn it down, but he says, don't worry about it, Norris. We're not going to let you go.
Oh, okay. Perfect. Yeah, that's
so
music to your ears.
I called work and I said, I can't. I just have to leave Iraq if I'm ordered to go to the general, because I want to do what I'm doing right here. So they dropped me, which was what I wanted to do. Yeah. But what I didn't know was my boss. The next thing I know is I'm getting promoted from GS12 to GS13 because he wanted to pat me on the back. Thanks for sticking here, Norris. I feel like a valued member of the team.
Absolutely. Rewarded you for sticking around.
Yeah.
Okay.
Like I say, I had a dream job because it was the job I had trained my whole life to do.
Yeah.
And I could not do that job today because I come from a newspaper family. I know what newspapers are all about. I know what the print media is all about. And now you got, if you're not into broadcast journalism, which is also declining, now you're into all these blogs, or what are you on here, Instagram?
This is Instagram.
Yeah. You got all these people that are have their own
personal megaphone. Yep.
And so it's a total.
What do you think is the best advice someone has given you before?
I graduate from college with a degree in journalism, come home at the family newspaper. My dad says, okay, I need you to go out selling advertising. I'm like, really don't think of myself as interact with people I don't know. And his advice to me was, son, you got a beautiful smile.
Oh.
People are going to understand that you're sincere.
Yeah.
So don't worry about it. It will work out. Whether they say yes or no, it will work out.
Yeah.
And when I was thinking about that,
see,
I see you walking around this compound with your beautiful smile, and I'm going, you got to share that, and you do.
Thank you.
Because it brightens people's day. But what I found out selling advertising was people I talked to could tell I'm not there interested in just the money. I'm there interested in them having a success. And if what I'm doing for them is not helping them, then I have no function. So I better be working as much as I can to help promote whatever you're into. So I realize the smile is one thing, but that genuineness, the fact that I'm not trying to
you're not trying to sell it to them.
I'm genuinely interested in your success.
Yeah.
And so it worked out fine. I sold advertising for, I don't know, 20 or 30 years. And the guy, when I left Baghdad, I had an interview and hire the guy that's going to replace me.
Okay.
And the guy that I eventually hired was working for the State Department. And he was handling that group of Blackwater people that had shot civilians in the square, and the State Department was getting assaulted about, why do you hire these killers? And he's handling the questions. I'm thinking, well, I like that part, that he's able to think on his feet.
Yeah.
But what I really liked was before he worked at the State Department, he worked at the Santa Fe newspaper selling advertising. Right. And I thought, anybody that sells advertising knows how to get along. He will be a great team player with this unit, because half your success at anything is getting along.
Absolutely,
You're not a prima donna. You're doing all you can to be part of the group, be part of the team, go out of your way to help promote the team.
Yeah.
When I got an assignment, a 100-day assignment to Nicaragua.
Okay.
Working for the National Guard out of Wisconsin. And I was on there every 2 weeks. They'd bring in another 500 soldiers for training, and they were drilling wells for water, and they were building schools and some primary health care centers. And so very first day in Nicaragua.
Where's this? Where's Nicaragua?
It's Central America.
Central America. Okay.
So you got Belize and Guatemala and Panama.
Okay.
It's in that area,
Right.
Central America.
Okay.
Well, anyway, in fact, they're talking about building the second Panama Canal across Nicaragua to compete with the Panama.
Okay.
So it's north of Panama. But anyway, so I'm there, 7-hour trip from the airport to this remote. Anyway, we're at the bottom of this big hill, which is a pasture where the guy had cattle or whatever.
Yep.
And very first, and we get there, it's raining. It's almost dark, but fortunately the tents were up, and so we go in the tent. There's just grass and mud, and it's raining, so my boots are all the way up to my ankles are covered in mud.
Yeah.
And so I just take them off and get in bed, going, okay, it'll be better in the morning. So in the morning, now it's raining harder, and they got this portable cantina, they're preparing breakfast, a hot breakfast for us. So there's bacon and eggs and some kind of cocktail fruit on this plate, on this paper plate. So I'm going through and I'm getting the food, and the paper plate is just starting to fall down because the water. I must have had an inch of water on that plate.
Oh, no.
And I go back and I'm going, what the hell have I gotten into?
Yeah.
Eventually, I was trying to point out, what do you do? Okay, so every day we're trying to build this road to go up to the top of the hill, which is where we're going to have our permanent housing.
Okay. Yep.
But we're in temporary housing down here because every night the rain would wash that road out.
Okay.
And so it was a constant battle for 4 or 5 days. They finally got it dry enough to where they could build the road, and then we moved up. Well, now the CEO says, now we got to go down and tear down all the tents and the plastic. Plastic was everywhere to try to keep people from sinking in the mud 2 feet.
Okay.
And so I go down there, and I'm like the senior guy in the whole unit. My
Really?
boss is a 05, a commander. I'm a captain.
Okay.
So I'm senior to everybody.
Right.
And I'm thinking, well, I could just not do anything because it's muddy and ugly, but that's not what teamwork's all about. So I put on my plastic gloves and I go out there and I'm starting to grab that plastic covered with cow shit, and it was disgusting.
Yeah.
I had no idea what I'm exposing myself to. But just like everybody else, no one wanted to be there either. So and I'm covered now with this grime.
It's a good leader.
And what I didn't realize at the time, but all of a sudden, that team spirit, when you go through, when everyone goes through that kind of, all of a sudden you're all buddies. I mean, you don't intend to be buddies, but you're buddies.
Yeah.
Now, a few months later, like I say, we're there for 100 days.
Yeah.
And at least a month later, the local town says, hey, we're having a big wedding.
Okay.
And we'd like to invite 3 of your people to come represent your group.
Yeah.
So the CEO, the commander, says, okay, I'd like to have the camp director, the translator, and you, Jones, you 3 go to whatever this wedding is. By the way, the 3 wise men were the CEO, his executive officer, and me. We were called the 3 wise men.
Okay. Yeah.
The enlisted that was their joke. Yeah, we refer to you 3 as the 3 wise men. Well, anyway, so the 3 of us go to this wedding.
Yeah.
There were over 10 bridesmaids. There may have been 12.
What?
Yeah. And the whole community is there. The whole community comes out for this wedding.
Okay.
And up front is the mayor and a couple of other people. And they had us right up front as the distinguished VIPs right next to the mayor. Okay. And so they do the wedding, and then they have the dinner. And next thing I know, the mayor apparently went up to all of the bridesmaids and says, I don't want to see those 3 sitting anymore. Now, work it out to yourselves, but they're going to be dancing for the rest of the night. Okay. So.
The 3 wise men?
Yeah.
Okay.
And all of a sudden, we're dancing, and curfew at the camp.
Yep.
Everyone has to be in by 11.
Okay.
And the base commander, the guy with me, Major, Captain Jones, you're the senior guy here. You need to make a decision. It's already midnight. When are we leaving?
Yeah.
And about that time, the Iglesias song, Heroes, comes on. Yeah. We're not leaving now. And so
Oh my God.
we're dancing away. I think we got back about 3 a.m. Well, anyway, the culmination of this whole experience is about 3 weeks later, there's a big rodeo right next to our camp.
Okay.
And so the CEO says, okay, everyone can have liberty, go down and watch them bull ride or whatever.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, they had some kind of band. And so I'm watching, we finish that and we go into this big building. There were ladies from all around. Young, virile soldiers are going up trying to get a dance.
Okay.
And no one's dancing with anybody.
Oh.
So I see the 10 brides girls over here.
Okay.
Who I obviously danced with for hours.
Yeah, you
I said, do one of you want to go out and dance with me? So we went out and we're dancing, and we get through. All of a sudden, I'm like attacked by 10 or 12 guys. What did you say? How did you get that? What can I do?
Just the gift of the gab.
Do you speak Spanish, sir? No.
I'm just a magnet.
I'll take that secret to my grave.
Oh, I love it. That's amazing. Oh,
here's this old fart, 54, 55-year-old I was.
You're like, come here.
Sorry I wasn't able to help you, but
no, I really appreciate the time that you've spent with me today.
Thanks for the questions.
Oh, no worries. I've really enjoyed getting to know you a little bit more. No, they're really cool. Thank you.
Danny?
Thank you.
Yep.
Cool.